you go much more in depth. You understand that there is much more to it. Like, you think you know it all, but then there's another ocean ahead of you.
Yes. Hello, Lyssa deHart here, your host for the coaching studio, and welcome to the studio. I am very excited to introduce a person who I've known for quite a while, I consider a friend, Angelos Derlopas, and he is an MCC coach with the International Coaching Federation, as well as being a coaching supervisor with the EMCC. So Angelos hails from Greece and coming from such a long way away. Angelos, thank you so much for being on the coaching studio today.
Thank you for inviting me, Lyssa. And I truly feel like a friend, like an old friend with you, and I really admire the work that you're doing. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I was thinking the last time I saw you was when we met in Prague, I think, when we were both there for the Coaching Converge conference.
You're right. Yes, I had recently saw that photograph. We met in Prague. We met in Warsaw. So all European places in Warsaw.
Yeah,
when we were the chapter president. So we met at the Global Leaders Forum, right?
Yeah, that's right, in Warsaw also, yeah. Well, you have to come to the United States apparently because we need to meet on my turf occasionally. So, Angelos, thank you so much again for being here. And I think I kind of gave you a little snippet about sort of really the curiosity being about you and your coaching development and really this movement that you made from even finding coaching towards moving towards mastery level coaching. I would love to hear a bit of your story.
Yeah, thanks, Lyssa. It's a little bit straight, and sometimes it might sound as a cliche because I don't know, because it's true, I guess. I think that it was a kind of calling. So I had my previous career before coaching as a profession. I was managing different corporations. So you could say that on the one hand, it was it organically developed as a need to acquire people skills. When you're managing people, you need people skills. So coaching is the right place to go on the one hand. But as I said earlier, it was a kind of calling because as far back as I can remember myself when I was growing up, I was really enjoying the kind of friendship when you have these deep conversations. And I was getting that feedback in many ways that there was something happening there. And I was so interested just being there, holding that place, as we say right now. Because, when you're young, you don't have this kind of words. You don't have the words, but you can understand that there is something happening there. We giving the space for the other and making a connection, and then trying to observe and understand how does that person feels, or where does that person, how does she organizes themselves and work their way through life. What's important to them? The things that we call values in coaching, and how they can create different outcomes. How can they change what is happening in their lives, in their families back then, when very young, that was one of the most important issues, right? So I felt like this was a calling. And then at some point, I don't know if you ever experienced that, it's like this become a dormant situation, and then at some point, gradually, there are things that are happening that awaken that in you, and you understand that personal development, personal growth is important to you. So you follow a number of occasions, and you understand that this is important, that this is meaningful for you. So luckily, coaching came to my awareness. So at some point, when it was the right way, I guess, I started coaching. studying coaching, and that felt like the natural place for me, like where I was meant to be, like the right conversations, being in the right place and having the right intentions when you're having the conversation. That felt that resonated with me. Does that answer your question?
Well, and I love this idea of this thing that's really sort of dormant inside of you that really started to emerge, and then you found coaching, and it just really resonated with the place that you were emerging into. I think that's beautiful. You know, you said something else, and it sort of reminded me of something I said to myself when I was probably about 27 years old, 25 years old, something like that. I was a waitress. And I remember saying to myself, I want to ask a more important question, right, than the ones that I was asking as a waitress. And so that was the thing that moved me into graduate school, and then ultimately towards therapy and then coaching. But this idea of this emergence, I really resonate with myself. And so this emergence of wanting to be in a different kind of relationship with the people around us also, that's beautiful. And then as you got into coaching, what was it that had you move towards MCC? Because a lot of people come into coaching for a myriad of similar reasons of, you know, this emergence of this new way of being and the work that they're doing with themselves, but they don't necessarily choose to become somebody who's studied enough and done all the required trainings and mentorship and all the different things required for mastery. What was the driver for you towards mastery?
Well, you could say that on one hand is because I used to put the bar high, so I want to be as best as I can. But on the other hand, to be honest, I fell in love with that thing. And not every day, but every year, I was attending a number of trainings, and I wanted to learn more. And it was not, just a need or an addiction of some sort. It was that I was loved, I was feeling love, and I was receiving love. This was something that felt home. It was something that felt like the answer to somehow similar to what you said when you were a waitress. And at some point, you realize that there must be other questions that you can ask people, that you want to ask better questions. So you want to when you start coaching, I remember myself back then, I realized that the more competent I became, the more safe in a way the coaching I provided was safe in a way that I was certain that when I do X, the result will be Y, and not something close to Y. So that is becoming more competent is usually achieving the accurate results, knowing exactly what to do. It's like mastering your craft. You want to love it, you are good at it, and you want to become better at it. I think that must be the same for everyone.
Yeah. I don't know if it is the same for everyone, but it definitely speaks to you. And I also align with that idea of falling in love with something and then wanting to continue to grow and develop that craft of how we are with people. And you said something interesting, and I think I heard you correctly, which was, as you became better at your craft, you actually became safer in the coaching container because you understood the questions that you were asking and the outcome. And this maybe even speaks to positivity coaching, but like that you're not leading the person towards the situation or towards something negative, I'm guessing here. So I would love to have sort of your thoughts about how that created more safety and more structure. Structure maybe isn't the right word, but like, I'm just going to launch this at you. Here, hot potato, go with that.
I know it's hot potato. Well, even the notion that you must feel comfortable to feel uncomfortable, it's a muscle. You have to learn that, and you have to practice that, and it helps if you know better your methodology, and it helps if you, as you practice, you reflect, you study, you understand, you notice yourself, and you understand what is happening for you as you're coaching with someone else in the room. So when I say safe, I don't mean that I opt in for mechanic coaching or robotic coaching.
Right.
That's not my style. However, I think one of the things that are important for people who, and I remember when I was explaining that to people who were expressed some kind of interest in training coaching, train themselves, and they were saying, some of them were saying that I, in my capacity as a leader, as a manager, and so on, I'm doing some kind of coaching, but I want to learn it better. And so, what do you think that I will learn better here? And the most convincing thing that felt convincing for me, but apparently it was convincing for them as well, that it will be more safe. You'll know exactly what to do. You will know what to do. You will learn your craft. So it means you will become more competent, to put it, in simple ICF terminology.
Yes, more competent. And I think also there's an element of confidence, right? Also, as you have that comfort level, somebody says something, and maybe they say a lot of somethings, because often clients will come to us with like a huge download of information, and that confidence to not be overwhelmed by that, to tug on the threads that are maybe most important out of what they've shared, so that we are most useful, also not just competent, but confident to be useful. I think that's the thing that's showing up as you speak.
Confidence is always important. The right amount of confidence, right? Okay, it's no overly confident, not arrogant, but confidence, yes, it is important. And confidence in what you're doing, and being resourceful, and being the more that you know, the more experience you have, you are becoming more flexible, more agile, so you can deliver better results. And then it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better. Because, there are a lot of times when people say, and I used to say that a couple of times in the past, okay, so I'm aware of that, or I know that. And then something happens, and you're doing more work, deeper work, and then you go much more in depth, and you understand that there is much more to it. Like, you think you know it all, but then there's another ocean ahead of you.
Yes.
So there's so much.
That's right. You made it to the moon, but there's like stars and planets beyond.
Exactly. It's like that. So I think it's competence, surely, on the one hand, but on the other hand, as you're moving to mastery, and I don't know if you have experienced it too, is I think so. At some point, I reflected and I said, "So what changed?" And now I am there, with the MCC. I think one of the things that has changed for me is that I enjoy it more. Now I enjoy it more. And of course, it's great for the client, I guess, especially judging from my first experience a number of years ago, my first experience with an MCC coach. One of the things that was very impressive for me is that I didn't quite realize when the conversation started. I said, "Whoa, have we already started?" It felt so organic.
Right. Yeah. So there's this sort of, again, the weaving of the competencies in such a way that it is a natural feeling conversation, not a stilted or scripted kind of conversation, but a really natural, meaningful conversation. Yeah. What would you say is your sort of biggest, like, aha of what you didn't know when you started to where you are now, and what you know to be true for you about your coaching?
But my coaching competency, or the coaching as a profession, or
Anything. Like what shifted? Like when you began, you didn't know what you didn't know, and now you may still not know what you don't know, but you know something different than you did when you started.
well, you would expect that there are a number of ahas, but I'm just thinking right now from the top of my head. I would say that at some point I became one important aha. It was when I became aware that of the potential that I have. That if I let go, there's so much more to do and so much more to create. And it was it was something that it is meaningful for me, and I don't know if the listeners, the viewers, can resonate with that. But there was a threshold when I understood that, okay, there is so much more, and I can unleash that. And there's so much more, and the more I allow myself to get in on the field, let's say, and do the practice, wonderful things are coming up.
Yeah. It really, you had said you were having more fun earlier, and then this state of being in this kind of open curiosity and just allowing kind of like your own emergence, right? Like it was dormant there, but then it emerged, and the emergence in a conversation of maybe what's meaningful, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes, you're right. Something that's meaningful, and you realize that there are so many other things that you can create, that you can experiment. I'm saying to create again, because obviously to allow yourself to be creative and to find the context to be creative, to find the opportunity to become creative, to exercise your creativity. And then, of course, to understand that the more that you do, the more you practice, the better it becomes, the better you become. So it's like, it creates more by itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like that wheel of growth of, that wheel that is churning of growth. When you think back and I guess the question that's showing up right now is really, when you think back, what was the most challenging element of this journey that you've been on for you as a human being, becoming, right?
The more challenging, do you mean by the more challenging item, the more challenging thing in changing career? Because
maybe, yeah. What was the challenging piece of, because if that was really challenging, I'd love to hear, like, what was challenging about changing your career, and how did you navigate that?
Well, yes, thank you. This is an interesting question. And training people to become coaches, and some of them, start or consider to start their own private practice. It's always a challenge to change careers, shift careers. I don't know about the States, but it might be a cultural thing. What I understand, a lot of people where I live frown upon anyone who changes careers. There's this kind of mindset that you should only choose career once.
You should
follow that forever.
Forever.
Right. So it feels like you need to find strength inside of you. And because you understand that when you started initiating a change, you're not sure yourself either. So
Right.
it wouldn't feel reasonable to expect others to support you when they don't know, and you don't know exactly whether you will be good at it or not, as you're still experimenting. You have an idea, you have a fascinating idea, you become passionate about that, and you want to move forward, and it might lead to success or it might lead to failure. I think the challenge about the possible failure in the future is always a challenge for organizations and individuals as well. So I think this was my main challenge. I had to really put an armor around me so that I won't be easy to be influenced by, other voices. I won't hold you down. And understand that it's difficult. It's not an easy way to move forward, especially when you don't know, and you obviously often don't know something that you have not done. You don't know that, so you're trying to, you don't know how that works. You don't know how that works as a profession, and you don't know how good you will be when you will be practicing this vocation. So there are a number of issues to take into consideration. So I think that this was my biggest challenge, and I think that one of the things that helped me find my strength is this mindset of positivity when you're trying to find out which are the places, the things, the resources, the ideas, the mindset that you can that can hold you, that can help you, lift your head and align your spine and move forward. And it's not always easy, because sometimes it feels like you're walking and moving sand, and you want to be constantly aware that you always need to look at what are the possible choices and opportunities here, and not focus too much on the obstacles. Pretty much what we say in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's interesting.
The same thing.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, there's a couple things that you said that I think are really important to highlight, because I do think there's probably cultural elements where you come from a culture that says you were born, you created this career, you will now be in that career forever, and there's no changes allowed. And I think a lot of cultures are shifting that ideology a bit, but I think there are a lot of cultures that are like, you've got to decide forever when you're, 18 or 24 or something. And I think, but even in cultures like the culture that I come from, where most people will have 3 to 5 careers, right? So, I mean, it isn't unknown for a person to move from, like I did, from being waitress to being a artist to being a social worker to being a coach, like that was acceptable within my culture. It was still, as you're talking, there's still the challenge of, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know, even with all the training and all the money I'm investing in this education, that it will ever turn into anything that will support me. Gosh, it would be so much easier if I could just get a job and work for somebody else where I know the paycheck will just come in. And I think there is a lot of stepping through that doorway into that liminal space of not knowing, that entrepreneurs often struggle with in a career change like this into coaching. So I really respect the struggle, because I think I've experienced and probably still do. I mean, it's different now than it was when I first started, but there were just months, and it felt like years, where I'm like, am I doing the right thing, or should I cut bait and go somewhere else and do something different? And so that ability to kind of, use that positive mindset, or just even a rational mindset, a clear expectations of like, what is my expectation of how fast this is going to shift and move and how long it actually takes. Like, you've built a school. I mean, that didn't happen in 6 months. That took years probably to really develop and continue working on and building out and you know, finding people who would come to the school and all of that sort of stuff. Easier today than it probably was when you first started. But yeah, I mean, the challenge is real. The struggle is real.
Yes, and you understand in that process as you're doing that, you discover your strengths, and you know, until I first trained my first group, I would never, if I had not done that, I would never thought that would be, that I could stand in front of people training them. And then I would never even thought that I would so much enjoy doing that. And I think from that moment on, when you know, when I look back, sometimes I said, I could have been crazy those years because I did all the changes very quickly. But I guess perhaps for me, there's one other thing that I was always good in organizing things. I had that kind of experience, the skill, so I knew how to organize that. And it kind of came, well, not exactly like that, but not overnight. You know, it does not happen overnight. But yes, of course, it's. I think people trust your hard work and your passion and how well you organize things.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too, which is how well you organize things, as well as do you surround yourself with people who have a skill set maybe you don't, so that you can be organized. I honestly have to have somebody to help me, because sometimes I'm the opposite of organized. I'm like chaos some days, and not like organization. You know, when you think about the work that you're doing in your coaching as you continue to grow and develop, where is your focus of attention in your own coaching today?
In my own coaching is to develop coaching techniques and share those. And is to I've always been interested and focused on quality and quality standards, and so this was one of my interests in all the times that I have been engaged with ICF on different occasions, and as well as a professional, and with our coaching training school, I'm always trying to look not just what are the minimum standards, but what I think is very essential and will be help this profession be credible and help the trainee be fully equipped with what she has to deal with when he's working with clients. So yeah,
I was just thinking, like, what is like one of those quality standards that is like that you are really focusing your energy on?
Well, is that I believe that the quality of the syllabus of what the trainee is receiving from the school, the kind of mentoring they are getting. Supervision is very, very important. So I have provided supervision for a number of years back. And of course, I asked them to get experience. I try, and we organize we have a community of coaches, so that will allow the creation of what we call cross-pollination, so people can get different perceptions and and borrow other people's experiences that will help them catalyze their understanding and their progress in the coaching in their coaching study.
Yeah. I think that's so important. I mean, I really heard you say three things that is really around the quality of the education that you get, the quality of the mentorship that you get, and the quality, or and hopefully quality also, but that you're also in some reflective practice like supervision, that you're really looking at it and exploring your relationship to your work. I think all three of those things are so important. I do a lot of ICF PCC assessments right now, and I'm the thing that is most surprising to me, that is consistent between the people who pass and don't pass, is that you can tell that the people who pass have gotten good mentorship. They didn't just have a chit chat with somebody who also had a higher credential than them and just sort of chat about coaching, but they really dove into their questions and then to the work of what their coaching conversations were looking like, because that's how you move from just having a wandering conversation to actually demonstrating coaching at a PCC level. So, and I had gone through the supervision program with Coach Supervision Academy, not last year, but the year before. And I cannot even slightly underemphasize the value of the reflective practice in our work. So I'm so glad you brought both of those forward. So glad.
Yes, I know what you're saying, because I was trained by the same people that you were trained, but in London.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And it's an amazing process to go through getting coach supervision training also, even if you're never going to be a coach supervision partner with anybody, but rather the process of that self-reflection in your coaching, like where do you get hooked? Where's their transference and counter transference? Where is there, where we want to save people and keep them from ever being challenged or have a hard feeling or anything, like what is all that stuff that shows up in the space between two human beings? I think it's just so incredibly important. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say that, yes, when you, let's say, hone your reflective skills, then you can introduce that into your mentor coaching. And I think that was, I remember back in the days when we were chapter presidents around the same time. So I think that back then I was pushing to create some kind of credentials for mentor coaching. And this still has not been done, although the overall situation with what are the requirements, well, not exactly requirements, but I would say suggestions, what would make a good mentor coach. I think ICF has progressed in that, and I believe that there's a lot to be done still. And it's important because, as you said, you cannot just believe that because you are good in coaching, that means that you can be good in mentor coaching, or that you can be a good coach trainer, and so on.
Yeah. It's so interesting too. I had a conversation when I was doing a mentor coaching session with somebody, and I had taken the transcript of what they had sent me, and I was just listening to it. They had not done a transcript, but I was capturing the words as I was listening to the recording. And there was this thing that the coach stepped over that the client had brought forward. And when I mentioned it to the coach, like, what had you step over X? They were like, that didn't happen. I never would have stepped over that. And so that's the other thing about like really looking at your work and seeing in black and white on a page what was said, what you heard, what you asked is just crucial to developing your ear for what you're listening for. Because I think there's so many places where we just listen over things because that isn't where our attention is, right? Like that's normal, but if you're going to be a good mentor coach, how are you supporting people to have better self-awareness of what their coaching is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you think about this idea of some sort of, I don't know what the word is exactly, but when you're looking at mentor coaching and you're thinking of having a more robust expectation of mentor coaching, what does that look like in your mind?
Well, I think you have to be very clear about what is mentor coaching and what is assessing. Who is the assessor, and whether the client needs one or the other. And you want to, because sometimes there's a confusion there for a reason. But I think that this is important on the one hand. And on the other hand, I think feedback is a difficult task. Is difficult to give feedback, and it's difficult to receive feedback because we are humans. So this
That's right, and I was perfect. I was perfect. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So of course you shouldn't. Okay, so you want to create that space. You want to feel to support your mentor coaching client, your mentee safe, to allow for and to be in that mindset. So there are a number of things that which you can prepare your client, and how it will be better for them to prepare themselves and come into that space. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest weight of the role is you, the mentor coach, because you have to make a connection. And this is very important. This is where you put your art, right? Make the connection so the other person will be inspired by you, so the other person will feel that you care for them, so you create a safe space, so you are constantly aware and flexible and agile, so you can understand if that is too heavy for them, if you need to pace down, or all the things, and then invite the other person to share that kind of awareness, or share their part in co-creating this awareness of how we are dealing this together. A little bit similar to what we are doing in coaching, but very, very different, because we're not talking about the client here, we're talking about you. So that's very different.
Right. Yeah. And I think that we should never underestimate the power of shame aligned with feedback, right? Like that I should have done it better. How did I miss that? Like all the negative narrative that shows up for people when they're getting like, what happened here? And they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? I don't know. Oh, I'm a terrible coach. And like, how do you move through that and see it just more as like, what do you know now as a result of having this newer awareness, like really shifting our relationship to feedback? I think that, I know I asked you what your biggest challenge was, and I think I align with your biggest challenge, but I also think learning to receive feedback as positive was a big challenge for me also. I don't know about for you, but I know it was for me.
It is, but I think that so many of my coaching clients, are having feedback as a real challenge. So I don't feel that the whole world's burden is on my shoulders. There are a lot of us who are sharing.
Yes, there's a lot of us.
So,
and, like, rub our tummy, rub our heart. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Angelos, what are you up to in the world today? What are you busy in the world doing?
Well, I'm so curious about all the different things that are being happening and how we can integrate that into coaching. So one of the big issues I think in the coaching world is diversity and inclusion, and understand where we should be we really stand, and not just jump on the train, because it never works. But I think there's climate change was one of the issues that coaching can do something about that as well. But the new thing that is arising, getting my attention, and I think for other people as well, is what is happening in the hopefully post-pandemic world, what is being called the Great Reset, which is called by the World Economic Forum. So there are mindsets, people who are making choices differently, and we need to, as we are coaches or trainers or supervisors or mentors or whatever we do that we're doing, we have to be, all those different hats. We need to be aware that there's a shift in the world, and we need to challenge ourselves to remain open, because the times are changing. This was saying on the one hand, and I think that's beautiful, because if you don't follow them, if you don't support yourself to remain open, and there will be mindsets that they will be challenged, and there's a role of coaches in social change. So at some point you need to take sides. I think that one of the most fascinating and inspiring commitments for ICF is to facilitate social change somehow. So I think that somehow is a question we need to ask ourselves as practitioners. So where do we want to stand? That we need to become aware of what is really happening out there.
Yeah, not with defensiveness, but with just open-minded curiosity, so that we can actually choose differently. I'll be putting links to where viewers can find you. So I'll put in a bunch of different links for our conversation today. And as my closing question, this is the thing I've been asking people. Off the top of your head, you don't need to explain it, but if you were writing your autobiography today, what would the title be?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Of course it is.
Let me start from the first question. People can find me on my podcast, and they can find under the name of Positivity, which is the name of the school.
I'm going to be putting all those links in. Yeah, they'll find you easy. They'll just press a button.
Okay, and of course in the website of our coaching training school, which is positivityglobal.org, and they can find the link to the podcast there as well, and Spotify, Google, Apple, and so on. So to go back to the question about the autobiography, I remember a song that used to be a hit when we were young, and it's called "Dreams Are My Reality," the only kind of reality or real fantasy. And I think as we are doing this thing, we are coaches, and we are so inspired and passionate about coaching. And I think, based on the stories that we both shared here, I think that coaching is a part of us and has also helped us in becoming who we are. So I think this allows us. Thank you for reminding me this. I just connected with a big truth of my personal truth that I remembered. I realized early on that what is very important for me is to find a vehicle that will allow me to change, to develop and change, and not to be chained in something just to play a role. So coaching for that. So the main reason that I chose coaching for a very, very personal thing was that it not only that it will allow me to change, but it will help me, it will support me to change, to ever evolve. And this still sounds fascinating for me. So I think that the title of the autobiography could be "The Dreams Are My Reality."
Dreams are my reality. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the coaching studio today, Angelos. I just really enjoyed our time together.
Me too. Thank you very much, Lyssa. It was great meeting you and answering these questions.